In this episode, we visit Historic Fort Ligonier in the town of Ligonier on the Lincoln Highway, about 50 miles east of Pittsburgh. It is reconstructed on its original French and Indian War site at the western foot of the Allegheny Mountains, where in 1758 it was the forward base of an army of British regular and provincial troops under General John Forbes, aiming to capture Fort Duquesne, built by the French at the confluence of the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers in present-day downtown Pittsburgh, and the base for a 3-year campaign of murder and kidnapping by bands of French-allied Native American warriors against the scattered and largely defenseless settlements on the Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia frontiers. It is owned and operated by the nonprofit Fort Ligonier Association, formed in 1946 with financial support from the Mellon family of Pittsburgh, who had a large country estate nearby. We were gratified to note that admission is free to active military, veterans, and law enforcement officers. Now we'll spend just a few minutes in the museum on the way to the fort itself to give you an idea of what's in here. The exhibits are not limited to the history of the fort, nor even to just the Forbes campaign, although they were very well covered. The exhibits tell the story of the entire 7 Years' War, of which North America was one theater, a war that historians today call the real First World War, and artifacts from warfare between Great Britain and France on the European continent, at sea in the Atlantic and Indian Oceans, and on the Indian subcontinent itself interpret the story of war for empire between the two great superpowers of the day. There's much more to see inside here than there's time to show in the video. You can spend an hour or more. Once outside, you immediately encounter part of Fort Ligonier's extensive collection of reproduced 18th century bronze artillery and auxiliary equipment. I've been told that there is nothing else like this on this side of the Atlantic Ocean. It includes portable mortars, swivel guns, field pieces, and heavy howitzers, everything needed by the well-equipped 18th century European army to besiege an enemy fort and defend it once they've captured it. A walk through the outworks and main fortress is a masterclass on 18th century military engineering that we found fascinating. Fort Ligonier was different from the simple stockades like Fort Loudoun, built by Pennsylvania provincial troops east of the Alleghenies, which was the subject of a video we published in November 2021, link in the description. This place is truly impressive. You can also get an idea of the living conditions of the common soldiers in the garrison. And look at a small sample of what the stockpile of supplies for a major military expedition must have looked like. Cordage. Those are hand barrows, I'm pretty sure, for carrying dirt and so on for filling trenches or emptying trenches and things like that. See the mule packs? In a far corner of the main works is the Forbes hut, used by the general during his brief time here in the autumn of 1758. He was very sick during the campaign, suffering from dysentery and possibly stomach cancer. Shortly after the French abandoned Fort Duquesne in November 1758, he turned over command and returned to Philadelphia, where he died in March the following year. So there's a look at Historic Fort Ligonier. I hope you liked this episode of History's a Blast, and we'll look at some of our other ones.